World War II wasn't just won in the skies by daring dogfights. It was supported by a fleet of non-combat aircraft that trained pilots, moved supplies, and saved lives across every theater of war. Planes like the Piper L-4 Grasshopper spotted artillery targets, while the Beechcraft AT-11 Kansan turned novices into expert bombardiers, proving that victory relied on more than just firepower. Join us as we dive into the stories of these overlooked workhorses and their massive impact from 1939 to 1945. Leading up to World War II, U.S. primary trainers were the backbone of the Army Air Force's pilot training program, preparing tens of thousands of aviators for World War II combat roles. These aircraft offered rugged designs and forgiving flight characteristics ideal for teaching novices the basics of takeoff, landing, and aerobatics. The Stearman PT-13 Kaydet, a biplane primary trainer, was a cornerstone of U.S. Army Air Force's pilot training during World War II, introducing countless aviators to flight from 1940 onward. Powered by a 220-horsepower Lycoming R680-17 radial engine, it had a top speed of about 124 miles per hour and was prized for its ruggedness and forgiving flight characteristics, ideal for novice pilots. Over 10,000 Stearman trainers, including the PT-13D variant, were built, with the aircraft serving at training fields like Randolph Field, Texas, to prepare pilots for advanced aircraft such as the P-38 Lightning. The Ryan PT-22 Recruit, a single-engine monoplane trainer, served as a primary trainer to introduce new pilots to basic flight skills starting in 1941. Powered by a 160-horsepower Kinner R540 radial engine, it achieved a top speed of about 125 miles per hour and was valued for its simplicity and stability, making it an effective stepping stone before pilots advanced to more complex aircraft. Approximately 1,023 PT-22s were built, and they were widely used at civilian-run training schools under the Civilian Pilot Training Program, contributing to the rapid expansion of trained aviators for the war effort. In preparation for World War II, U.S. basic trainers bridged the gap between primary and advanced flight training for the Army Air Forces, teaching skills like instrument flying, formation flying, and navigation. The Vultee BT-13B Valiant, a basic trainer aircraft, played a vital role in World War II by training thousands of U.S. Army Air Forces pilots, preparing them for combat aircraft after initial flight instruction. Powered by a 450-horsepower Pratt & Whitney R985 engine, it had a top speed of around 155 miles per hour and was widely used from 1941 to 1945 for teaching essential skills like navigation, aerobatics, and instrument flying. Known as the Vibrator for its noisy engine and challenging handling, the BT-13B was part of a production run exceeding 11,000 units, making it one of the most numerous trainers of the war. Its dependable design and extensive deployment at training bases across the United States ensured a steady flow of qualified pilots for missions in aircraft such as the P-40 Warhawk and B-24 Liberator. From the late 1930s through 1945, U.S. advanced trainers were pivotal in preparing Army Air Forces pilots and crew for World War II combat roles, focusing on multi-engine and specialized skills. The Curtiss-Wright AT-9 Jeep, a twin-engine advanced trainer aircraft, prepared pilots for the demands of high-performance, multi-engine combat aircraft like the B-26 Marauder and P-38 Lightning. Introduced in 1942, it featured two Lycoming R680-9 radial engines and a retractable landing gear, with a top speed of about 200 miles per hour, bridging the gap between basic single-engine trainers and operational twin-engine planes. Its intentionally challenging flight characteristics, due to a less stable design, made it an effective tool for training, though it was difficult to fly and land, ensuring pilots were well-equipped for frontline challenges. With around 791 units built, it played a crucial role in pilot training programs until the war's end, after which its complexity prevented civilian use, relegating surplus units to ground schools. The Beechcraft AT-10 Wichita, a twin-engine advanced trainer, taught pilots transitioning from basic trainers to multi-engine combat aircraft like the B-25 Mitchell and B-17 Flying Fortress. Introduced in 1942, it was powered by two Lycoming R680-9 radial engines, offering a top speed of about 190 miles per hour, and its wooden construction helped conserve critical metals while providing a stable platform for instruction. With over 2,371 units built, The T-10 was widely used across U.S. training bases, excelling in teaching navigation, instrument flying, and engine management, preparing thousands of pilots for operational duties by 1944. After the war, its specialized design limited its post-war use, and most were scrapped or repurposed, though it left a legacy as a reliable and cost-effective wartime trainer. The Beechcraft AT-11 Kansan, a variant of the Beech-18, served as an advanced trainer primarily for bombardiers, navigators, and gunners, entering widespread use after 1941. Equipped with two Pratt & Whitney R985 engines and capable of reaching 215 miles per hour, it featured a bombardier's nose with a Norden bomb sight and a dorsal turret, allowing realistic combat training, with over 1,500 units built by 1945. The AT-11 played a critical role in preparing crews for aircraft like the B-17 and B-24, conducting over 90% of all U.S. Army Air Forces bombardier training, and was instrumental in missions like the 1942 Doolittle raid preparation by training navigators. Its versatility extended beyond training, as some were modified for transport or reconnaissance, and after the war, many were sold into civilian use due to their durable design. The Cessna UC-78B Bobcat, a twin-engine aircraft derived from the civilian T-50, served primarily as a light transport and advanced trainer, entering widespread use after 1941. Powered by two 245-horsepower Jacobs R755 engines, it could reach speeds of about 175 miles per hour and was employed to train navigators, bombardiers, and multi-engine pilots, as well as to ferry personnel and light cargo across training bases and operational theaters. The UC-78B, often called the bamboo bomber due to its partial wooden construction, supported the rapid expansion of aircrew training programs, with over 4,600 produced for military use. While reliable for its utility roles, its modest performance and lack of armament kept it out of combat, and many were sold as surplus post-war, reflecting its significant but unglamorous contribution to the war effort. Cargo aircraft were essential to the war effort, delivering troops, supplies, and paratroopers to critical battlefronts like Normandy and Sicily, while flying over 45,000 tons of supplies monthly across the Himalayas, ensuring the Allies maintained momentum from 1941 to 45. The Curtiss C-46 Commando, a twin-engine transport aircraft, was a vital lifeline in the China-Burma-India theater by flying supplies over the treacherous Himalayan hump from 1942 to 45. Powered by two 2,000-horsepower Pratt & Whitney R2800 engines, it could reach speeds of about 245 miles per hour and carry up to 50 troops or 12,500 pounds of cargo, outlifting the more famous C-47 Skytrain in high-altitude conditions. Despite its utility, the C-46 earned a grim nickname, Flying Coffin, due to its maintenance challenges and at least 31 recorded in-flight explosions between 1943 and 45, though it still delivered over 45,000 tons of cargo monthly to China at its peak. Beyond the Pacific, it supported European operations late in the war, notably dropping paratroopers during the Rhine crossing in March 1945, with over 3,100 units built by the conflict's end. The Douglas C-47 Skytrain, a military variant of the DC-3 airliner, was a cornerstone of Allied air transport during World War II, serving in every major theater from 1941 to 45 with exceptional reliability and versatility. Powered by two Pratt & Whitney R1830 engines, it reached speeds of about 232 miles per hour and could carry up to 6,000 pounds of cargo, 28 paratroopers, or 14 stretchers, making it indispensable for troop drops, supply missions, and medical evacuations. The C-47 played a starring role in operations like the D-Day invasion of Normandy on June 6, 1944, towing gliders and dropping over 50,000 paratroopers, as well as supporting the airborne assault on Sicily and the resupply of Bastogne during the Battle of the Bulge. With over 10,000 units produced, its rugged design and ability to operate from rough airstrips earned it the nickname Goonie Bird, cementing its legacy as one of the war's most iconic and effective aircraft. The Lockheed C-60 Lodestar, a twin-engine transport derived from the civilian Model 18, served primarily as a personnel and cargo transport, with over 325 C-60A variants built specifically for military use. Powered by two 1,200-horsepower Wright R1820 engines, it could reach speeds of 257 miles per hour and was also employed as a paratroop transport, notably equipped with jump lights and static lines for airborne operations. The C-60 saw extensive service across the continental United States, the Southwest Pacific, and the Caribbean, supporting training missions, VIP transport, and glider towing, though its role diminished as the war progressed as more advanced aircraft emerged. While effective in its niche, its smaller size and speed compared to the C-47 Skytrain limited its prominence, and many were repurposed or sold as surplus after the war, reflecting its utilitarian but not standout contribution to the conflict. The Junkers Ju-52, a German tri-motor transport aircraft, served as a workhorse for the Luftwaffe throughout World War II, contributing significantly to airborne operations and logistics from 1939 to 1945. Nicknamed Tant Ju, Aunt Ju, it was instrumental in the 1940 invasion of Norway and the Netherlands, where it dropped paratroopers and delivered supplies, notably during the airborne assault on Crete in 1941, despite heavy losses to Allied defenses. With a capacity to carry up to 18 troops or 3 tons of cargo and a cruising speed of about 165 miles per hour, it supported major campaigns by transporting personnel, equipment, and wounded soldiers across Europe, North Africa, and the Eastern Front. However, its slow speed and lack of armor made it increasingly vulnerable to Allied fighters as the war progressed, limiting its effectiveness in contested airspace by 1943, though it remained in use until Germany's surrender. Used by both Allied and Axis forces during World War II, gliders provided a stealthy means of airborne assault, but their wooden construction and dependence on weather and tow aircraft made them high-risk assets in operations like Crete and Sicily. The Waco CG-4A Hadrian, a military glider, served as a key component of airborne operations, designed to silently deliver troops and equipment behind enemy lines. With a wingspan of 83 feet and a capacity to carry 13 troops, a jeep, or 3,700 pounds of cargo, it was towed by aircraft like the C-47 Skytrain and released to glide at speeds up to 150 miles per hour, playing a critical role in invasions like Sicily in 1943 and Normandy on June 6, 1944. Over 13,900 units were produced, making it the most widely used U.S. glider of the war, though its wooden and fabric construction made it vulnerable, contributing to high casualty rates during missions like Operation Market Garden in 1944. Despite its limitations, the CG-4A's ability to deploy forces and supplies without engine noise was instrumental in supporting rapid Allied advances across Europe and the Pacific. Introduced in 1942, the TG-4A glider, based on the pre-war Yankee Doodle design, was built to meet the urgent demand for training under the U.S. military's glider program, spearheaded by General Hap Arnold after observing German successes. Its tandem cockpit and 50-foot wingspan provided a stable platform for instruction, but its superior glide ratio made it a poor match for the heavier, less aerodynamic Waco CG-4A, reducing its effectiveness as a trainer. While it played a key role in early glider pilot training, its limitations led to its withdrawal before the war's end, with many later sold as surplus to boost civilian gliding post-war. During World War II, the U.S. Army Air Forces used light observation and liaison aircraft to perform critical battlefield roles like artillery spotting, reconnaissance, and short-range communication, often operating from improvised airstrips near the front lines. These aircraft, typically powered by small engines ranging from 65 to 185 horsepower, provided commanders with real-time intelligence and coordination, proving invaluable in campaigns across Europe, the Pacific, and North Africa despite their vulnerability to enemy fire. The Vultee L-1A Vigilant, a light observation and liaison aircraft powered by a 295 horsepower Lycoming engine, performed reconnaissance, medical evacuation, and short-field utility missions in theaters like Alaska and the Pacific. The Taylorcraft L-2M Grasshopper employed its 65 horsepower Continental engine for artillery spotting, courier duties, and frontline liaison, particularly valued for its ability to take off and land on small, rugged airstrips. The Aeroinc L-3B Grasshopper, powered by a 65 horsepower Continental engine, conducted reconnaissance, directed artillery fire, and performed utility missions, often operating from makeshift fields close to the front lines. The Piper L-4A Grasshopper, a military variant of the J-3 Cub, used its 65 horsepower Continental engine for observation, artillery spotting, and courier duties, notably during campaigns like the Battle of the Bulge and in the Pacific Theater. The Stinson L-5 Sentinel, a rugged liaison aircraft powered by a 190 horsepower Lycoming engine, performed short-field medical evacuations, reconnaissance, and command transport missions, notably in the Pacific and European theaters from 1942 onward. The Interstate L-6 Grasshopper, equipped with a 115 horsepower Franklin engine, conducted artillery spotting, reconnaissance, and utility missions, though it saw limited production and use compared to other Grasshopper variants. The Fairchild UC-61 Forwarder, a military version of the Fairchild 24, served as a light utility and liaison aircraft that was powered by a 175 horsepower Ranger engine, transported personnel, delivered messages, and performed short-range support tasks across various theaters. The Beechcraft UC-43 Traveler, a military adaptation of the Beech Model 17 Staggerwing, powered by a 450 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R985 engine, served as a light transport and liaison aircraft that ferried personnel and conducted utility missions with its distinctive biplane design. The Nuredyne UC-64A Norseman was a single-engine bushplane that was powered by a 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R1340 engine, served as a versatile utility and transport aircraft, delivered supplies, evacuated wounded, and operated from rough airstrips in rugged theaters like Alaska and the Pacific. The consolidated OA-10 Catalina, the U.S. Army Air Force's designation for the Navy's PBY-5A amphibious flying boat, was powered by twin Pratt & Whitney R1830 engines, flew search and rescue and reconnaissance missions, patrolling vast ocean areas and retrieved downed airmen in the Pacific and Atlantic theaters. Helicopters in World War II, primarily the Sikorsky R-4 and R-6, served the U.S. military in experimental roles, conducting rescue operations, medical evacuations, and liaison missions, marking the beginning of rotary wing aviation in combat settings. The Sikorsky R-4 Hoverfly, the first helicopter to enter full-scale production for the U.S. military, served primarily in the China-Burma-India theater and the Pacific, beginning in 1944 with rescue and utility missions. Powered by a 200 horsepower Warner R550-3 engine in its production R4B variant, it could reach speeds of about 75 miles per hour and had a range of roughly 130 miles, proving its value in retrieving downed pilots, like the first combat helicopter rescue in Burma in April 1944. Though only 131 were built, its pioneering use in medical evacuations and ferrying parts between ships in the South Pacific marked it as a groundbreaking step in military aviation, despite challenges like underpower performance in humid jungle conditions. The Sikorsky R-6 Hoverfly II, an improved helicopter based on the R-4 design, entered limited production in 1944 for rescue, observation, and liaison roles primarily in the Pacific theater. Powered by a 235 horsepower Franklin O405-9 engine, it offered a top speed of about 96 miles per hour and greater stability than its predecessor, with around 225 units built, though its late introduction meant it saw minimal combat use before the war's end in 1945. During World War II, radio-controlled target aircraft were mass-produced by the thousands to train U.S. anti-aircraft gunners, providing a cost-effective and realistic way to simulate enemy planes without risking pilots. The radio plane OQ-2A, one of the first mass-produced target drones, was powered by a 6-horsepower Ryder O15-1 engine and provided realistic aerial gunnery and anti-aircraft training, with over 9,400 units built by war's end. The Culver PQ-14B, a single-engine target drone that was powered by a 150 horsepower Franklin O300 engine, simulated enemy aircraft for gunnery and anti-aircraft training, with over 1,400 units produced to support wartime preparedness. Planes like C-47 Skytrains and B-13 Valiants were the unsung backbone of World War II's air war, training pilots and moving mountains of supplies to keep the fight alive. Their stories remind us that victory wasn't just about firepower. It was about preparation, logistics, and resilience in the shadows. Thanks for joining us on this journey through aviation history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know which World War II planes you'd like us to cover next.